It's a very good morning and welcome to Asake Online. You are watching The Breakfast Club and I'm your presenter, Sizwakele Ndlovu. On the show today with me, I'm speaking to Pamela Mhlanga, and she is a field officer at the International Committee of the Red Cross, ICRC. Good morning, Pamela, and welcome to the show.
Morning, Zwa. Thank you.
So let's just get straight into it. Please give us a history about the Red Cross. All I remember is that in primary school, we used to have little stickers and giveaways and things like that from Red Cross and being told to be good citizens. So if you can just give us more information on what the organization does now.
Sure, thank you. The Red Cross movement is made up of three components: the International Committee of the Red Cross, ICRC, the International Federation of the Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies, the IFRC, and the national societies. So I am with the International Committee of the Red Cross, which offer assistance mainly to victims of armed conflict, other situations of violence, and migration. So the National Society is the Zimbabwe Red Cross Society is our implementing partner here in Zimbabwe. And currently, as you said, I'm the field officer responsible for the digital humanitarian platform known as RedSafe. It is a pilot project we are implementing in Zimbabwe, South Africa. We are implementing it together with the Zimbabwe Red Cross Society. Thank you, Zwa.
So Pamela, if you can just tell me the difference between your signs. There's a Red Cross sign and then there's a Red Crescent. Is there a difference? Is there a marriage between the two organizations? What does each different one do?
We are the same. Some nationals, they are comfortable with the crescent and some use the Red Cross. So we are the same people. It's just the different how the crescent is acceptable in other countries and how the cross is acceptable in other countries.
Oh, okay. All right. I wasn't aware of that. I thought they were two separate organizations. I've learned something so far. So you mentioned that the Zimbabwe Red Cross, that's the national association and that's the implementing body. So, which means that every country has its own national body. So there'll be South Africa, Zimbabwe, and all these other different sectors. What is then the marriage between ICRC and the Zimbabwe National Red Cross?
Okay, thank you, Swa. You'll find that here in Zimbabwe, we have the Zimbabwe Red Cross Society. You go to Malawi, you find the Malawi Red Cross Society. So all in all, in fact, we have about 192 national societies across the world. So in this southern region, you'll find that we have one ICRC with our regional delegation in Pretoria. We cover Zimbabwe, South Africa, Zambia, Malawi, but we work with the national societies of those countries. So that's the working relationship. When you're in Zimbabwe, as ICRC, we work with the Zimbabwe Red Cross Society. When we are in Malawi, we work with the Malawi Red Cross Society. So it's not like ICRC is in each and every country. We cover a region working with the respective national societies in those countries.
Okay. So you mentioned that you are in charge of, there's a program that you are running, a platform. Please tell us more about that. And earlier on while we were talking, you mentioned various other programs that are run by the different foundations. You said there's a Restore Family Links, things like that. Maybe if you can take us through those other programs that are already running and then bring us through to this new platform that you're pioneering.
Sure. Like I said before, I'm based at Harare office, but we have our regional delegation, the Pretoria regional delegation. So in Harare, we are mainly doing protection activities. We have the Restoring Family Links program, which aims at preventing family separation and people going missing. We also have the Missing and Deceased Migrants program, a response to alleviate the suffering of migrant families who have their members missing. So they trace and try as much to search and clarify the fate of the missing migrants. So under the Restoring Family Links program, we do offer free phone call service 3 minutes. We offer free Wi-Fi connection 30 minutes. We do tracing requests, we register cases. We also have a program, a service we call Trace the Face, whereby individuals upload their photos and the search is done everywhere. So through interacting with communities through the RFL and the Missing and Deceased Migrants program, ICRC observed that most people now have gone digital, and we need to cater for them, to offer them services digital. Many people who migrate, they look for information on Facebook and other social media platforms, but the information they get, some of the information is not true, some of it is not accurate. So in response, ICRC launched the digital humanitarian platform, the RedSafe, to provide trusted and reliable information to people. Also to provide a platform for them to be able to store their important documents. We understand that as they travel, they lose their documents. Some leave their documents home here, but at least if they have a digital copy, they can access them from wherever they are. So yeah, we have gone digital to cater for the population that is accessing services digitally.
Pamela, you mentioned that you can look for missing people. Does this, do you only use this for people who are migrants, or is this service available to anyone basically? If I'm in Zimbabwe and somebody's gone missing in Zimbabwe, we're not migrants, we're here. Do you look for such missing people, or is there a specific parameter that you work within for looking for missing persons?
Like I said, that our mandate is to offer affected populations, those who are affected by, who are victims of armed conflict, other situations of violence and migration. So the tracing really is focused on people affected by armed conflicts and migration. So it's not like we don't trace for like domestic disputes whereby someone has a misunderstanding with their husband, then the wife runs away, then we are to trace for the wife. No, it's specifically for those armed conflict victims, migration victims, and other situations of violation.
Okay,
violence.
So refugees, people like that who've been displaced, been forced to move to another area, place, or things like that.
Exactly. Here in Zimbabwe, we offer the services, the RFL services in Tongogara refugee camp, where we have about 3/4 of the population there from DRC. So we help them reconnect with their families, families back home. Some of like the families they from DRC, they went to Zambia, they went to South Africa. So someone will open a case here in Zimbabwe, in Tongogara. They say, I think my sister is in Zambia. A case is opened, then a search is done in Zambia. So yeah, that's how it goes.
So hence the need to go absolutely digital and take advantage of digital platforms, because it is a huge search to go across Africa.
Sure. Like I said, we do the physical tracing, but it's not enough. We have also gone digital to do the first tracing, and now the app to disseminate the services we do offer as ICRC.
Okay. So please just tell me more about this app, this RedSafe app. You mentioned that you can upload documents, and I'm assuming you can access them anyway. And also, are there any centers within Zimbabwe where somebody can then go to? For example, you might not have a smartphone or anything. Is there a center that you provide that somebody can then access their documents and...
Thank you, Zwa. The RedSafe is a mobile app that can be downloaded from the Google Play Store as well as the App Store. You just type in RedSafe, then you can install it on your smartphone or any other device. So it can also be accessed as a web version on any connected device. This is to cater for those who do not have smartphones. They can access their web version. So for access here in Zimbabwe, you can visit our Red Safe kiosks. Since it's a pilot project, we started with Harare. We have a kiosk at the Roadport terminus in Harare, a kiosk in Blawayo, close to Max Garage in Tongogara Street. We have a mobile kiosk in Zaka. It's mostly based at Gerera Growth Point, but they drive to the community and offer the services. In Bedbridge, we offer the services at the quarantine center, Bedbridge Quarantine Center, and we are establishing a center where we are going to have a Red Surf kiosk again along the border road. So when they visit the Red Safe kiosks, we offer them internet connection. Then at each kiosk, we have our Zimbabwe Red Cross volunteers who man the kiosk. They offer the services to the people. They assist users to download the app, to navigate the app, as well as offer the 3-minute phone calls. They provide the Wi-Fi voucher. Our Wi-Fi, we have tokens, the 30 minutes access tokens. So they provide the vouchers to the users. They connect. They can also access Facebook and search for their relatives. They access the Trace the First website to search for their missing relatives. We also encourage users to frequently communicate with their relatives for upkeep information. So they can call on WhatsApp, they can do the video call so that they maintain their family links. So in addition to these physical kiosks that we set up in Zimbabwe, we also have an agreement with Econet whereby they offer us a reverse bill service whereby any Econet line user can access the app, our RedSafe app on zero rate reverse bill service. So this one, through your data, the ICRC will then pay Econet. So we have access to the RedSafe app, access to the web version of the app freely here in Zimbabwe. Then ICRC will settle with Econet. In South Africa, we have the same service with Telkom. So migrants in South Africa can access the RedSafe app. Those who use the Telkom line, they can use the reverse bill service as well. Again, in South Africa, the app is promoted by our partner humanitarian organizations who are also offering restoring family links. So, yeah, we are trying to make it available to everyone.
Okay. So, Pamela, how do you prove that somebody who wants these services, because you just mentioned 3 minutes free calling and Wi-Fi, how do you prove that somebody is in legitimate need of such a service? Because I'm just wondering, if I just woke up and say, can I have a voucher or whatever it is, how do you sift through the genuine cases and prevent abuse?
Okay, I want to give you an example of Harare, of Blawayo kiosk. It's not like everyone who passes through or who comes in for a voucher is going to South Africa that day. But they have relatives in South Africa. They need to communicate. We give them the means to communicate, to maintain their family links with their relatives in South Africa. So even for the app, at one point you will be here in South Africa, but you may need to go to South Africa. You have relatives. So we give them access to the services so that they can also disseminate the information to relatives in South Africa.
Okay. Very interesting. So how can somebody get involved with you? This is such a noble cause that you are pioneering. How can maybe people are interested in being a part of this initiative, how can people get involved?
All right. The first thing is to spread the word. Like you have heard about the RedSafe app, we would very much want you to spread the word to others who may not have heard about the app. Then secondly, you can offer your service as a volunteer. You join the pool of volunteers with the Zimbabwe Red Cross Society and you participate in the various RFL activities we carry out in the country.
Okay. And Pamela, any last words to our viewers about your organization and what you're doing?
ICRC is there to serve you, to alleviate suffering, to ensure that you are always in touch with relatives and friends, so as to avoid people going missing and being separated with their families. So feel free, contact us on Facebook. You find us on Twitter. You can email us. You can visit our kiosk for more information about the services. Yeah, that's it. Thank you, Zwa.
Thank you so much, Pamela Mhlanga. She is the field officer at ICRC, which is the International Committee of the Red Cross. Do stay tuned because I'm actually going to be talking to two of the volunteers who will share more information on the day-to-day life of what it is like to be a volunteer with the ICRC. Stay tuned. I'm going to have a chat with one of the volunteers at ICRC, and his name is Michael Mbulelwa. Welcome to the show, Michael.
Thank you so much, my sister.
So tell us a bit about your involvement as a volunteer. How did you start and your experiences so far?
All right. Basically, I volunteer with the National Service, National Society, which is the Zimbabwe Red Cross Society in Bulawayo. So I began my volunteering by going to register as a volunteer at the National Provincial Office, which is situated on 3rd Avenue and Bash Street in Bulawayo. So I signed a volunteer form, and this volunteer form basically just consists of your background information, educational qualifications, what level you are, how old are you, and what programs basically you'd be willing to volunteer for. So that's where my journey began. So as you said, voluntary service is something we do, not aiming to get any gain from it or anything in return, but it's something that we do because we want to give back to our society, not just the national society, but our society at large. And yeah, that's basically how I began my volunteering service.
So what happened? Why did you sign up? I mean, it's a very good noble cause, but you're young. You could have a million other things you're doing. You could be spending your time on Facebook or Twitter. Why did you sign up to be a volunteer?
I signed up because I had been exposed to the Red Cross through interaction with it in a different country, and I had basically found great interest in what the National Society does when I did my research in Zimbabwe, particularly Bulawayo, some of the programs that it was initiating in Benga. I found some great interest, and I basically that's how I joined, because I felt the need to be a humanitarian first. So you see that it's the largest humanitarian movement in the world, and I felt that there's so many things that happen in our society whereby people are quick to talk but take very little action. So I thought being part of the Red Cross would enable me to be with like-minded people. So it's not often that you get platforms where you get like-minded people who are willing to give up their time in order to serve humanity.
So at the moment you are one of the people who man the kiosk. What's that experience like? Your day-to-day, what do you do, and the response from the people who come and access the services?
All right. So basically, my day-to-day experience is a very humbling experience, because you meet people who come from different walks of life, different stories. Like, for example, when you're making a phone call, somebody is trying to get into transit into South Africa, and you can clearly tell that they're in distress, because maybe they're trying to organize a payment for them to cross over, or just various different stories. It's a humbling experience, because it makes you realize how important such programs are, and we're very grateful to the ICRC for coming up with such an initiative, because it makes you realize that this is actually something we need in our community. It's alleviating the suffering of movement, of migration, not being able to communicate with your loved ones, because sometimes even people make comments, grateful comments like, "Thank you for this program because I haven't spoken to this person in a year because it's so expensive to phone South Africa," and with connectivity, you also know connectivity is so expensive right now, but it's such a need. It's actually one of the human basic needs that we have in contemporary society. Like, you need to be able to connect, because if you're not on the Wi-Fi, you're missing out on a lot of things, and it's it's really humbling, but at the same time, I'm happy to be part of it, because it means I'm taking the right steps to assist somebody. Yeah, so I really enjoy what I do at the kiosk.
So, what's been the response from your peers to this whole process of giving up your time for nothing, of volunteering?
Okay. My peers, well, my peers are very supportive, and they actually do come to the kiosk. Like, for example, I had peers when the application was initially launched. They came through and they supported us, and they downloaded the application. That was for me a sign of support. Like, they support what I'm doing, because some instances your peers can say they support you, but when something happens along the work, whatever you're doing, they're not there to show it. But I'm receiving a lot of support from my peers, and I'm very grateful.
So, Michael, do you have any last words for anybody who might be considering volunteering?
All right. I think my last words would be, you should actively volunteer. You can join us by coming to the provincial office. It's at 3rd Street and 3rd Avenue and Bass Street. Um, I think volunteering. Everyone who sat on this panel has volunteered at some point in their careers. Volunteering broadens your perspective to how to deal with challenges, how to manage challenges, how to navigate through society. Um, and I'm sure you know how tough the world is getting nowadays. Qualification is simply not enough. You need to gain experience, and it also assists you gain experience, like in terms of just boosting your qualifications. Besides just giving back to society and doing it, knowing that you're not getting fully employed and going to get something out of it, it actually it increases the prestige that comes with your resume or your CV, particularly if you want to join other projects or other fraternities out there.
Thank you so much, Michael, for your very interesting words on volunteering. And we're going to have one more volunteer join us to give us their experiences. So do stay tuned. This is Asake Online. You're still watching The Breakfast Club, and today we are featuring ICRC, which is the International Committee of the Red Cross. I'm chatting to one of the volunteers, and his name is Gabaza Spanda. Welcome to The Breakfast Club.
Thank you for having us.
So tell us about your experiences as a volunteer.
It's quite a long journey. I started my relationship with Red Cross as a volunteer, as well as a beneficiary. So I then understand the power of humanity from that perspective, where the people that you don't know around the world, they gather their resources to support you. So that's where I learned that you can actually change the world, you can actually change the lives of the people. Hence, I then started to join Red Cross and volunteer with it. So I started at school, and then proceeded, and here I am today. So there are so many structures that are planted around the world, around the country, where we join. And as for me, I joined from Gai, and I still volunteer with the Zimbabwe Red Cross even here at Blawayo.
Okay. So is there an age limit to volunteers? How young can you join and how old? What's your cutoff? What's the cutoff for volunteering?
So as Red Cross, we try by all means to capture everyone as young as we can. So you realize that we initiate clubs at school, even at primary level. So a grade 1 student that is 6 years old, they can actually join the club and volunteer their services. We train them first aid, we train them how to take care of others who can take care of for themselves. For example, they we teach them how to fundraise, how to mobilize resources, how to assist others in their schools. So they grow up with that concept. So grade 1, 6 years, you can join the Zimbabwe Red Cross as long as you understand the concept. So there is no age limit because you can volunteer the whole of your life. Actually, there is a membership which is called a lifetime membership, where you can volunteer the entire of your life.
Okay. So how much time, for example, if I'm interested in becoming a volunteer, how much time should I devote? Is there a minimum time? How can I chip in? How do the various programs work?
We understand that people come from different professions and they come from different backgrounds. So it depends also on the nature of the activity. So if it's a structured activity, if it's a structured program, then there's stipulated hours that you need to volunteer. But if it's the initiatives of the volunteers, or if it's a program where volunteers can change, you can volunteer any amount of the time that you want.
Okay.
For example, let's say there's an activity in your community and you're working during the day, so maybe you dismiss at 4, but you can still volunteer from 4 to 5. So you go and volunteer 1 hour. Some who are free, they can volunteer whatever the amount of time they want. So it depends on the nature of the activity and the type of the program.
Okay, so you mentioned like there's a structured activity. For example, would it be like the kiosk where you have to devote?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, like the RSF kiosk.
So how much time would you be looking at for a structured program like that? How much time? Do I need the whole day? Do you need like a week of my life? Or how does that work?
We also structure it there. For example, at the kiosk there, we alternate with my friend. So he volunteers his hours during on his days. I also come and volunteer. So that this is voluntary work. So that I also pursue my own studies, pursue my own activities. Some of us they call it hustlers, because the situation in Akan. So you do your own things, then you come. Yeah. So with us, we alternate, give each other time to do your own personal life things. Then you also volunteer your time. So on the structured, it depends on the speculated amount of hours by the policy or by the program.
So basically what you're saying is that anybody can devote any amount of time. You just go through to Red Cross and tell them this is the time I have, or this is what I'd like to volunteer, and you will be slotted in somehow.
If it's possible, everyone in Zimbabwe, everyone in the world, they can actually join the Red Cross and volunteer their time.
Okay. So what advice would you have for a person who is interested in becoming a volunteer?
I would say the world needs us. The world needs people with good hearts. So not everyone is able to do some things for themselves. So there's lots of humanitarian crises that the community faces. So everyone anyway, let us join the Red Cross societies. If you're in South Africa, join there. If you're in Zimbabwe, join there. If you're in Zimbabwe and Bulawayo, you look for Zimbabwe Red Cross Society, then you join from there, so that we volunteer our skills and we make the betterment of our community.
Okay. Gavaza, thank you so much for your time, and unfortunately that's all we have for today on the Breakfast Club. And for those who are watching, we were talking to representatives and volunteers from the Red Cross of Zimbabwe, and earlier on we were featuring Pamela Mhlanga, who's a field officer at the International Committee of the Red Cross, ICRC. As the volunteers mentioned, you can give an hour of your time, you can dedicate a special amount of time, you can just get in touch and be a volunteer. Get in touch and help push this noble cause. You can just spread the word as well. If you can't volunteer, please just spread the word, like their social media pages, and spread the word about ICRC and Zimbabwe Red Cross. That's all we have on the Breakfast Club today. Thank you for watching Asake Online. My name is Sizwakele Ndlovu, and we'll see you in other programs.